Kia ora guys, Michelle here. It's getting pretty close now to the start of my through hike of Te Araroa, and this week I wanted to do a bit of a fun video for you guys. I wanted to outline a typical conversation that I've had with some regular New Zealanders about my upcoming through hike. I am walking all the way from Cape Reinga to Bluff. Yep, that's right. I was aware of that, yes. That would be quite so the average time that it takes somebody to walk the Te Araroa trail is around about 120 to 150 days. So I'm aiming for about 140, and that'll be something like 4.5 to 5 months. Really, just sort of take it roll by roll. So for most of the North Island, I'll be staying in a tent at various different campsites and holiday parks along the way, and then on the South Island it will be mainly backcountry huts. Yep, but I'm pretty used to doing that anyway, and to be honest, I'm sure that the nights I spend in my tent are going to be much better than the nights I spend in the huts. No, I am actually starting out completely alone, which is quite scary, but I'm confident that I'm going to meet people within the first few days. There's so many people starting out from Cape Reinga around about the same time as I'm starting that I'm sure that by the time I reach the end of 90 Mile Beach, I'll have gotten a nice group of people around me, and I'll probably spend most of the time walking with those guys. Yes, I do, and that is going to be no mean feat. It's going to take me something like 4 to 6 days to get along 90 Mile Beach, and I am told that if you can make it along 90 Mile Beach without dying or getting ridiculous blisters, then you should be able to make the whole rest of the trail. All the time, especially because I have never done anything like this before. But that's part of the adventure for me, and I am just taking a whole bunch of precautions to make sure that I am as safe as I possibly can be. So not only am I going to be carrying a personal locator beacon, but I will also be carrying a proper GPS device which allows me to communicate with my friends and family in case I get really seriously hurt or lost or whatever. So that's all part of the plan. Plus the GPS device has the trail loaded into it, so it means that as long as I'm following that, I shouldn't get too lost. Yes, contrary to popular belief, there is a formed walking path all the way from Cape Reinga to Bluff. It's a path that has been carefully chosen out by Te Araroa Trust, and there's a whole set of trail notes and maps that go along with it so that hikers can actually follow one set path all the way down to Bluff. Most of the trail is through the bush or along beaches or through farmland, but there is also quite a substantial section, especially on the North Island, where we have to walk along roads and state highways. Yeah, but it's only a very small proportion of it. Lots of people just wear reflective gear on the roads to make sure that they're as safe as they can be. But the majority of the trail is through bushland and through farmland. No. Well, exactly, because a lot of the trail is off-road, so there won't be cell phone coverage in a lot of areas, and there are a few stretches that, especially on the South Island, I will be out in the wilderness with no cell phone coverage for 4, 5, 6 days. So it's really important for my own personal safety and for my own peace of mind that I do have that emergency locator beacon just in case something happens. sometimes I'm going to have to carry food for 8 or 9 days. So most of the North Island I can send my food to towns and things and roughly stagger it so that I'm picking food up every 7 days or so. But in the South Island there are some long stretches between the towns. For example, the stretches through the Richmond Ranges where typically speaking you're walking for 8 days without getting into a town. So I could be carrying food for 8 or 9 days plus emergency rations as well. So a lot of people carry 2 or 3 days of emergency rations through those sections as well. Yes, food is incredibly heavy, but unfortunately you need food in order to complete this trail. So what I'm actually doing is dehydrating a lot of my own meals to try and make them a little bit lighter. Also, I have some special dietary requirements as well, so that means that I need to prepare a lot of my food before I go because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be able to pick up in towns that normal people would resupply at from dairies and things. But a lot of other hikers will do that, so they will just walk from town to town, especially on the North Island, and just pick up food for their next stretch 2 or 3 days away as they're going. So most people are taking with them the little packets of tuna, they might take some pre-cooked rice or instant mashed potatoes, that sort of thing, and they would just be able to pick that stuff up along the way. I don't really want to be stopping too much at supermarkets to pick up my food because I'm not too sure what I'm going to be able to get, especially at some of the four squares and things along the way. Also, that stuff can be pretty expensive to buy in some of these smaller towns. So at the moment I'm not really sure because I'm still waiting for my tent and my sleeping pad to arrive, which they won't be too far away, but I am aiming for the absolute maximum weight of my pack. So that would be through a stretch where I have to carry food for 8 or 9 days to be not much more than 15 kilos. I know that for my particular body weight and my frame, that if I'm carrying much more than that on some of these hard, long sections, that I'm probably going to do some serious damage to my body. Plus it's just going to be really difficult to carry it. So I'm trying to get my base weight right the way down to about 7 kilos if at all possible, although at the moment it's sitting a bit higher than that at about 8 or 8.5, so I've got some work to do. Yeah, right? That's the idea. Although, to be fair, there are some river and estuary crossings and things where I would actually have to get in a kayak or something like that to get across the estuary, and then of course there's the 5 or 6 day Wanganui journey down the Wanganui River, which is entirely in a canoe. Yes, I do, and I would rather not do it, but it's part of the trail and my whole plan is to do the whole thing, you know, by myself, so that will have to be part of it for me. Then I just turn around and come home again? Who knows, but I'm hoping that I will have figured that out along the way. I know, right? And that's actually one of the really cool parts of this experience. There are a lot of people hiking this trail now and a lot of people from overseas, so it's not like I'm going to places that have never been seen by humans before. But certainly as far as my close friends and family go, I will have been to some pretty cool parts of the country that, yeah, they haven't actually seen and probably never will see. That's kind of the idea. So that gives you a good taster of some of the questions that you can expect if you want to do something like thru-hike Te Araroa. They do range from the incredibly stupid to the very sensible and everything in between. What I have experienced so far is a lot of support from everybody that I have spoken to about it, and I am really grateful for all of that. Don't forget that my intention is to vlog my entire thru-hike directly from the trail. I'm still working out the kinks on all of that, and so it's going to take me me a little while to get that up and running smoothly, but you can expect at least weekly updates from the trail on this channel here. If you want to get a more exclusive and a more real-time experience, then why don't you head over and check out my Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can actually become one of my patrons, and that allows you to get exclusive access to content that I will be uploading directly from the trail, including posts and photos. I am also planning to host Q&A sessions on my 0 days directly from the trail as well. So if you want to be part of that, head on over to Patreon right now and take a look at what's on offer. There are different levels of patron for all budgets, and all of them come with their own different advantages. Okay guys, my next installments will be all about the gear that I'm taking with me on Te Araroa, so make sure you have hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification, and I will see you next time.